understanding of the ministry in theory, in principle, and doctrine, and not anti. In all, I'll just score again. All right, back to the book. For all the these are purposes of the temple. For the salvation of Zion, that's all caps, for a place of thanksgiving for all saints, and for a place of instruction for all those who are called to the work of the ministry, and all their several callings and offices, that they may be perfected in the understanding of the ministry in theory, in principle, and doctrine, and not anti. In all things pertaining to the kingdom of God on earth. Doctrine and Covenants 94:3. Ephesus ended. In the 1984 document, 156, we are asked to believe that the temple is to be dedicated, quote unquote, dedicated to the purpose of peace, for reconciliation, and for healing of the spirit. Remember that quote by that one guy earlier about wholeness? For strengthening of faith and preparation for witness. The means providing leadership education for priesthood and member. All sounds good, but it ain't. Which are we to believe? Certainly, the Lord's words in section 94 in the document state totally opposite reasons for the temple. Section 94 is a revelation of the Lord, but the contradictory statements of the 1984 document is full of New Age, quote unquote, terminology that are not of the Lord. Secondly, we must carefully consider the paragraph calling for the ordination of women. I cut off Dr. Covenants, it was section 146 or 147, I think. I have to look at it. We are first asked to believe that the phrase, all are called according to the gifts which have been given them, pertains to priesthood. If that were true, would it not be the duty of every presiding elder in the church to immediately submit a recommendation for ordination for every member of the congregation, regardless of age or sex? However, the phrase has been misquoted, revealing the vulnerability of the writer or writers, whichever the case may be, of the document. God said, prosecute the missionary work in this land and abroad so far and so widely as you may, speaking to the elders. All are called according to the gifts of God unto them, the elders, and to the intent that all may labor together. Let him that laboreth in the ministry and him that toileth in the affairs of the men of business and of work labor together with God for the accomplishment of the work entrusted to all. Doctrine and Covenants 119:8. Emphasis added. God was referring to elders in full-time ministry and elders who were engaged in business. It had nothing whatsoever to say about women in the priesthood. The document also states that all, quote, all are called, ... Therefore, do not wonder that some women are being called to priesthood responsibilities. Unquote. Emphasis added. Why would God say that all are called and then call only some women? Inconsistency and contradiction abound. That which is consistent and not contradictory is that which has been from the beginning. Jesus warns us to treasure up his words that we shall not be deceived. Many scriptural and historic references have been given showing that women should not be ordained to the priesthood. They could all be quoted here, but a good student of the gospel can find them all. I feel the following words of the Lord sum up his direction concerning priesthood. Read Merva Bird's M-E-R-V-A, Bird, B-I-R-D, Bird's pamphlet, Women's Ordination? No. Cummer Books, C-U-M-O-R-A-H, Books Incorporated. Therefore, thus saith the Lord unto you, with whom the priesthood hath continued, in all caps, continued, continued, all caps. Trying to get on the screen. Continued through the lineage of your fathers, all caps, fathers. Fathers, for ye are lawful heirs, according to the flesh, ... Therefore your life and the priesthood hath remained and must needs remain through you and your lineage, fathers and sons, until the restoration of all things spoken by the mouths of all the holy prophets, men, since the world began. There were some female prophets, but prophet is not a priesthood office. Doctrine and Covenants 84:3. And the Lord confirmed a priesthood also upon Aaron and his seed, sons, throughout all the generations, which priesthood also continueth and abideth forever. With the priesthood, which is after the holiest order of God, Moses and sons. Therefore, as I said concerning the sons of Moses, for the sons of Moses, and also the sons of Aaron, shall offer an acceptable offering and sacrifice in the house of the Lord. Which house shall be built unto the Lord in this generation, upon the consecrated spot, as I have appointed. Doctrine and Covenants 83:3-5. Now let's talk about the Kirtland Temple, Ohio, that was built up in that generation. That says it all. The abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet and prophesied by Jesus, has inspired both in Jerusalem and in New Jerusalem. The last day, Zion, Independence, Missouri, that's New Jerusalem. The last day apostates have been the instruments through which these prophecies have been fulfilled. What remains for the church, the faithful saints, is the carcass, to which the eagles have been gathering lately in this area, in Missouri, recently. Eagles are gathering. The reforming of that which has been from the beginning will bring about the condition in which the temple of the Lord can be a reality, situated upon that consecrated and holy ground designated by God years ago. Chapter 4. More on clowns and other abominations. Whenever we think of the days of Noah and the people of that time, we also think of Sodom and Gomorrah. The people were of the same character. They were homosexuals, lesbians, murderers, liars, etc. Movie makers have depicted those people as living in filth and darkness. Their clothing, the way they painted their faces, their music, their total culture, all been shown as being as depraved and degenerate as the imagination can show them. It was most likely worse than any film director could create. I heard a radio minister say, God will have to destroy America very soon, or else he'll have to apologize to Sodom and Gomorrah. That is where we are today, as it was in the days of Noah. Sadly, whether we will admit it or not, those same conditions are beginning to prevail in the church. An example showing just how far the leaders of the church will go to distort and pollute the ordinances took place at the East 39th Street congregation on May 8th, 1983. It was announced that the service would be clown ministry. It had been originally scheduled for 11 o'clock a.m., but because of several objections, was changed to the evening service. The sanctuary had many suspended balloons attached to the end of each pew. Michael W. Barentine, an appointee attending St. Paul's Theological Seminary, and now it's assigned to the Pacific Northwest region, walked in with his face painted like a clown and wearing a long white robe. He gave a short reading and chanted, quote unquote, while urging the congregation to respond with "ooh" and "ah." Words to the following were handed out. Tis the gift to be simple. Tis the gift to be simple. Tis the gift to be free. Tis the gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend, we will not be ashamed. To turn will be our delight. And by turning, we come round right. Sounds good, but it ain't. Not in this context, anyway. It was stated that although some churches use ashes on their foreheads, they were going to put the mark of the clown on the saints' noses. A red dot of fate. Walgreens does this. A comment from a participant was that Brother Barentine looked like a Catholic priest with a clown face. Exclamation mark. A second man with a clown face came from the rear of the sanctuary, and the story of creation began being depicted. No one was sure whether the clown represented God or Adam. People started coming forward representing trees and other forms of creation. The second clown was appointee David Schalbar, now assigned to North Atlantic States region. As they began the creation of Eve, a woman in a black leotard with a red top, oh boy, stretched and came to life and pretended to eat an apple she had picked off the tree. Oh, gross.
This is terrible.
She rubbed her tummy completely to show the congregation that it was good.
It's terrible.
The clown, representing God or Adam, came toward her slowly, and then they embraced?
It's terrible.
That's terrible! Then came the mockery of the ordinance of communion.
It's terrible.
The clown took a loaf of bread and cradled it like a baby.
Oh no!
He handed it to the woman representing Eve, and she also cradled it like a baby. She gave it back to him, and he raised the loaf over his head and broke the loaf. He then fed some of it to her. After she had eaten, he took a bottle, which was to represent the wine. ... There was a reaction from the congregation. I remember this. Congregation, and several stood up, one of whom went to the front and chastised the entire group, and then the congregation for entering into such a mockery. Some began to leave. One brother was moved upon by the Spirit of the Lord to tell an ex-apostle that he, of all people, should not have allowed such a thing to go on in the house of the Lord.
That's right.
There are reports of clown worship being conducted throughout the church, and during the administration of all the ordinances, there are groups of dancers who dance around the communion table. Ugh!
Oh no!
A baptismal service presided over. I'm glad none of this stuff was going on in my Western congregation. I never saw any of it. I saw I combined it. I don't remember. It's been a long. I was a kid. A baptismal service presided over by a clown is described in another section. It should be understood by the members of the church that clown worship did not originate in this church. It has been used in other churches and other types of settings. One example of this, which is extremely appalling to me, yet one that points out the depth to which people will go, came to my attention the fall of 1983. This is taken from an excerpt of a radio interview by Dr. James C. Dobson on his program, Focus on the Family, December 1983. He was talking with Reverend David Barnhart, a pastor for Lutheran Church of America, the senior pastor of Trinity Lutheran Church in Minneapolis, Minnesota, since 1979. Although it is not specifically about clown worship, it does show how that was used. Much of the story needs to be understood in order to grasp the effect of that which we are concerned about in our own church. Reverend Barnhart became aware of a program in the Lutheran Social Services, which had been in existence for over 6 years, where a woman and her husband met with him and several other pastors to tell the program that their family was sentenced to because of their teenage son's conviction for a sex crime. Their daughters, aged 13 and 10, did not go, but the LSS later insisted that they must. The program was called Personal Social Awareness. Oh, I yelled. I know what they're going to say. I've heard this before. I read this before somewhere. Maybe in this very book. It consisted of 2 days of marathon activity with about 150 parents, teens, and sub-teens present. The youngest being 10 years old. They began the counseling sessions with an icebreaker. Everyone had to write down every name they could think of for the male and female genitals. These were to include both scientific and slang expressions.
Yep.
The lists were then hung on the walls for display during the 2 days of sessions. Everyone then had to watch sexually explicit pornographic movies showing every kind of sexual act known, human and animal. Ah! They also had to listen to lectures on the same subjects. They contained every kind of filth imaginable. If anyone tried to leave, they were ordered to return by the director of the program. One part of the program was a tape by George Carlin, sick, S-I-K-C because they spelled his name wrong. It's C-A-R-L-I-N, not C-R-A-R-L-A-N like in here. It's Carlin, not Carlan. Entitled 8 Words You Don't See on TV. I've heard that. It's kind of funny, and you get a point, but it's still a bad sermon. Or a bad talk. A bad comedy routine. It's obscene. 8 Words You Don't See on TV. This was extremely profane and obscene. It was. I heard it. I've heard part of it. A homosexual whose name was Lee spoke on the virtues of homosexuality. Ugh. He had been to a seminary, had left his wife and 2 children, and was living with a man in a homosexual relationship, and expressed how happy he was in his new lifestyle. The family journey, quote unquote, oh man, ended with a worship service conducted by a preacher and his wife who were dressed as clowns. One of them was wearing huge glasses. On the glasses were written many filthy, obscene words. Another component of the program was a 27-hour retreat held at the Mount Olivet Retreat Center. At the retreat, 2 counselors swam in the nude and urged the boys to take a risk and do likewise. I have swum naked with others before, not sexually, but it was so wrong. My uncle encouraged me to do it, and I was enjoying it, and I shouldn't have. Forgive me, Father, for that. Forgive me for all the time when the news calling me. Order the meetings. Order the letter I wrote. Forgive me, Father. If they refused, they were asked why they did not choose that particular risk. At that retreat, the group was given a handout. It was a hat for each person. Oh, I didn't read further before. Now I am. It was a hat for each person with... Oh, I did read it. It was a hat for each person with the letters DFP on it. The meanings they were told for each letter was D, demented, F, the 4-letter gutter expression for sexual intercourse. You all know what that is. P, pervert. Reverend Barnhart reminded the people that the money used to purchase the hats, the tapes, and the movies came from their benevolence offerings. Ugh! Similar to our oblations. The parents he talked with told him that they had first been ordered by LSS, Lutheran Social Services. This is a Lutheran church doing this. To Martin Luther be rolling in his grave right now. To put their 2 daughters in the program. Then they don't belong there. No one belongs there. It's sick. Then they're look how young they are. Ugh. Not even older people belong in that program. That's sick. Then the report went from the LSS to the court that since the parents were uncooperative, they didn't see how the boy could be allowed to stay in the home.
Thank you, Father.
All of this demonstrates humanistic tactics of the New Age movement.
It was.
It is called sexual desensitization. They put known sex offenders in the program, supposedly to expose them to disgusting sights, etc., much like some of the programs to help people stop smoking. But what it actually does is to make people sink deeply into sin while they are undergoing this so-called therapy. It stimulates the most base animal emotions in a person and brings perversion to sexuality. It is secular humanism in its lowest form. Remember, this example comes from an official Lutheran program, financially supported and upheld by the leaders of that denomination. And it is also sanctioned and used by the courts of the land. Reverend Barnhart also discovered other policies condoned by the Lutheran Church that appalled him. He found policies on homosexuality and abortion that were much like the stand taken by the NCC, National Council of Churches, and the WCC, World Council of Churches. Don't forget, you know that story, that cartoon, that claymation, David and Goliath? National Council of Churches, or World Council of Churches, 152. Yep. Be careful as you watch what you're exposing your kids to. Hidden messages. My question is, if it happened in the Lutheran Church, can it, or has it already, happened in the Organized Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints? In light of all that is being discovered within the church today, I'm very suspicious that it may be happening, at least in one form or another. Why have I reached this conclusion? Perhaps the knowledge of the official report of the Subcommittee on Homosexuality, as read to the High Priest and 70 Conference at Graceland College, May 26th to 30th, 1981, would help. It was reported that Geoffrey Spencer, who was at that time president of the High Priest Quorum, read the report. Members of the committee were Otto H. Essler, chairman, Bernard B. Butterworth, Dwayne G. Graham, and Karen S. Ritchie. It is not possible to quote the entire report, but a few short quotes will be sufficient. Our purpose in reviewing facts, making assumptions, and offering guidance to church leadership is to seek better understanding and encourage an open attitude concerning homosexuality, while at the same time keeping faith, it's impossible, with the moral perceptions of the restored gospel. That's impossible too. The LDS think they can do it. The Utah Mormons think they can do it. They're allowing homosexual stuff on BYU TV all the time now. It's terrible. The youth that get into it. The youth of the LDS Church. It's being taught in the colleges. I think. The Organized Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has included a fairly moderate and understanding approach to their problem in the Church Administrator's Handbook, 1980. But leaders are still guided by a memorandum from the Standing High Council under the date of October 18th, 1962, entitled Homosexuality and Other Sexual Perversions. Homosexuality is considered in this memorandum only in terms of genital acts rather than the complete sexuality of the person. Since understanding and research render some philosophies in this memorandum obsolete, it should be updated. Can't God direct the Standing High Council in the deliberations? How can those decisions based upon scriptures become obsolete in such a short time? The truly aware, quote-unquote, person who has learned to key onto the New Age terminology will not be fooled by this kind of trickery. Many feel that only in open discussions, research, and expressions of love will occur will enough progress be made that the homosexual can be considered a full, quote-unquote, with single quote, child of God, and accepted as he or he/she is under that title, to be encouraged and accepted by the redemptive ministry of the church. ... Quote unquote. Homosexuality may be a deviation sexual pattern that is in the normal range of psychologically ... Quote unquote. Homosexual behavior, like heterosexual behavior, can be loving, no it can't be. Nurturing, no it can't be. And irresponsible, no it can't be. Or it can be cruel, irresponsible, and impersonal. It always is. Many feel that homosexual relationships would be more long-lasting if there were societal pressures that equal those of heterosexual relationships. No, it wouldn't be. ... Quote, anti-homosexual bias has long existed in Western cultures in general, and the church shares the responsibility for shaping and transmitting those negative attitudes. The Bible and traditional interpretations of it have been a foundation for those negative attitudes and resulting discriminatory practices. The Doctrine and Covenants for the Community of Christ has been their third rail for sanctioning by supposedly the voice of God any abominable practice the Community of Christ wants to introduce into their church. In general, and the church shares the responsibility for shaping and transmitting those negative attitudes. The Bible and traditional interpretations of it have been a foundation for those negative attitudes and resulting discriminatory practices. Don't miss the fact that these people are criticizing the Bible and blaming the use of scriptures for discrimination. I gotta go to the bathroom. We'll be right back. All right. Well. Okay.
Let's see where. There, bro. These are groaning, not laughing while I'm frustrated. If you hide your frustration with laughter, it's dishonesty. Don't laugh it out, just groan. God's not gonna be mad at you if you groan. You're sobbing. Unless you're rebelling when you do it. So,
I'm back. I'm back. right, test. Now, this is all caps. I'm not going to show you this is all caps. Quote, we believe that our attitude should be acceptance, accept plus tense of homosexuality, and of responsible homosexual expression. We believe that sexuality, including both homosexual and heterosexual orientation, is part of God's creation and is thus a gift of God? Dot. And in parentheses it says exclamation point. Emphasis added. Responsible homosexual expression, quote, single quote, as used here, may be understood to include sexual expression within a committed, discrete, and permanently intended relationship involving two persons whose sexual orientation is toward persons of the same sex. Gross. Emphasis is placed upon the word responsible, single quote, unquote, and thus behavior which is promiscuous and which otherwise negates the value of the person and of love and the relationship is not accepted. It's all bad. Quote, in advocating an official position of accepting, single quote, responsible homosexual expression, unquote, we affirm that within our social context, heterosexual expression is preferable to homosexual expression for a variety of sociological and psychological reasons. Therefore, persons who can change from a homosexual to a heterosexual orientation without harm to themselves should attempt to do so. Everyone can.
Yep.
Those tendencies from Satan. You weren't born of them. They were learned. We also affirm that homosexuality, like heterosexuality, should be expressed only in the context of responsible, loving, gross, and committed relationship with other persons. Promiscuous or irresponsible sexual behavior, either homosexual or heterosexual, is dehumanizing and should not be practiced. It's all part of the same agenda, whether it's promiscuous or not. It's all part of the same agenda.
Yep. All part of the same agenda.
The church, quote, the church, should work toward elimination of injustices, which continue to be perpetuated by society against persons who are homosexual. Much of the prejudice and discrimination suffered by homosexuals has been inflicted in the name of and with the support of the church. Christians engaged in responsible homosexual relationships should be fully accepted into the ongoing life of the pastoral unit. That's it. That destroys your ordinances. Right there.
Yeah, destroys your ordinances.
Quote, just as persons who are known to engage in indiscriminate extramarital heterosexual behavior are not approved for ordination and are not generally placed in leadership roles, The same standard should logically be applied to homosexual behavior. Nope. Furthermore, the same rationale which approves ordination of the unmarried heterosexual person who restrains his sexual drives and refrains from sexual activity with another person should also be applied to the homosexual person who refrains from sexual activity. Not going to happen. In other words, a person who is known to have a homosexual orientation but who refrains from sexual activity outside marriage should not be denied ordination on those grounds. They're talking on both sides of the mouth. It's an ostentation. They're saying it, but they don't mean it. They want the whole shebang, the whole homosexual agenda, but they're just couching it in these specific words. This report was sent to a young priesthood member who was asking for help on how to minister to a homosexual. It did not become the official standard of the church, but one much like it did. It was, however, used officially for a time. Otherwise, it would never have been sent as a help in guiding the ministry for the young man. Knowing that this kind of thinking is guiding the leadership of the church, the concerned member must begin to study recommended books on humanism, New Age, and globalism. He should review carefully the Humanist Manifesto 1 and 2. I didn't even know there was 2. And also the Communist Manifesto. Alarming similarities begin to appear. As we study the beliefs of the humanists and New Agers, we see not only total acceptance of homosexuality and lesbianism, and even the desirability of these alternate lifestyles, but we also realize the promotion of euthanasia. Remember Cinderella Man? Suicide and abortion. They call it zero population. George Guidestone. Look it up. We have seen how the thinking of total acceptance of homosexuality has emerged in the leadership of the LDS Church. We must also be aware of their stand on abortion. Yeah. Their position on this has been almost a deep, dark secret. Just recently, they said we were going to look at an abortion. In 1974, the First Presidency issued a statement in the Saints Herald, February issue. That statement was so general in nature that a person must read between the lines and then find out what is happening to discover the true position that has been taken. A portion of the statement in the Saints Herald states, "We affirm the right of the woman to make her own decision regarding the continuation or termination of problem pregnancies." Preferably, this decision should be made in cooperation with her companion and in consultation with a physician, qualified minister, and a professional counselor. This decision should be made in light of the full range of moral, medical, and and cultural influences within which the woman lives. Quote, unquote. There are a lot of terms used to make this statement sound perfectly acceptable. In the first sentence, the word problem would lead the reader to think only those pregnancies with serious problems were being considered. No exceptions. No exceptions. I don't care what you claim the exception is. There are no exceptions. Abortion is wrong. The question is, does a woman have the right to kill her baby? No! As will be shown later, the word problem is a smokescreen. Further cover-up is revealed with the counsel for the woman to seek advice from various sources. The decision should be made in light of moral, medical, star. Look at the star. Maybe it's in the back of the book. Man, there are a lot of trains going by today. Put the toilet. Okay. Leave anything. Just stop. Start into the text. Then a train goes by. Yeah. Anytime there's the word medical is shown, the word star is by it, or there's a star by it.
To Sunlight Broadcasting Network.
I don't know why. Maybe for emphasis. What say you, cat? My thoughts exactly.
Domestic channel on my SBN Now app. Last night, I let Rick borrow the Book of Enoch, read to him and Cindy from the inspired version of the Bible and the RLDS Doctrine and Covenants we had read at church last night, and encouraged Rick to read from the Doctrine and Covenants and Lectures on Faith book I had given him. I also bought Rick a Christian journal and some pens. Today Elder Gordon Burns drove me to Walmart where I got 10 cans of Special Kitty and Frisky Sweatfoot and 2 3-2-prong adapters and an HP laptop for Rick. At home I set the laptop up for Rick and let him borrow my mouse and mousepad until I can buy him new ones. My nap was refreshing, and I made a new diary log site website, Diary Log Site 3. Kenobi HB has about 60 views altogether so far. I am happy and content right now. Later, Lord willing, Rick will call me and I will take his new laptop to his house and teach him how to use it.
Caught the tail end of it. Okay, back to it. You need a break anyway. Need my voice to rest. The decision, quote unquote, should be made in light of moral, medical, star, and cultural reference influences. Medical asterisk by it. And cultural influences. What moral influences are they referring to? The commandment, thou shalt not kill. The commandment, thou shalt not kill? The right of every human being to live? Or are they basing their position on values clarification as taught in the school systems? Are they advocating situation ethics? Quote unquote? Values clarification, quote unquote? As taught in the school systems? Are they advocating situation ethics? Quote unquote? The advocates of abortion will never know who they may be killing, quote unquote. Look at the account written in Luke. Quote, ... When Elizabeth heard the salutation of Mary, the babe, John the Baptist, leaped in her womb, all quote caps, ... And why is it that this blessing is upon me, that the mother of my Lord should come to me? For lo, as soon as the voice of thy salutation sounded in mine ears, the babe leaped in my womb for joy. All caps. The babe leaped in my womb for joy. Luke 1, 41 and 43. The emphasis added. Emphasis added. This is only one scriptural evidence showing that abortion is wrong. Elizabeth was with child only 6 months when she had this experience. John heard the conversation of his mother and Mary, and he was filled with the Holy Spirit even in that time of his life. Another very significant scripture proving that abortion is an abomination is taken from the first chapter of the book of the prophet Jeremiah. Then, quote, then the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. And before thou, this is all caps, before thou camest forth out of the womb, and then I sanctified thee. And I, all caps, ordained thee a prophet unto the nations. Jeremiah 1, 4, and 5, emphasis added. Jeremiah was sanctified and ordained while he was still in his mother's womb. Before he was born. What would have happened if Jeremiah's mother had chosen, quote unquote, to have an abortion? Look at who would have been killed. A prophet who had already been ordained? What if Elizabeth had been pro-choice, quote unquote? John, who was ordained to prepare the way for Christ, would have suffered a terrible death at the hands of murderers. This life does begin at the time of conception. Most births begin at the time of conception. I'd say a lot of them do. But the spirit can choose to enter the fetus at any time. But still, abortion is always unnatural, no matter what happens. And no statement by the RLDS presidency, the U.S. Supreme Court, or any other group can change that. Abortion is murder in the first degree. And the institutional church that bears the Lord's name condones it. And so, we go on. What, quote, cultural influences, unquote, are the presidency referring to? Is it acceptable to God to kill a person in one culture and not another? We are back to, quote unquote, situation ethics again. The real position of the church is stated in the use of the word, quote, medical, asterisk, influences, quote unquote, rather than place their true belief in the official statement, medical influences, quote unquote. Rather, with the asterisk, after medical. Rather than place their true belief in the official statement, they put it in the footnote. Oh, that's what footnote, the asterisk is there. Okay. Quote, the safest methods of induced abortion can be employed only during the early stages of pregnancy. That's gross. Decisions regarding abortion should be made immediately after pregnancy. It's recognized because the physical and emotional risks of abortion increase with longer duration of pregnancy. Methods of abortion after the 12th week of pregnancy carry a significantly higher risk, require a delay because these techniques cannot be implemented until the 16th week of pregnancy and are available in only a restricted number of facilities. They're doing partial birth abortions and infanticide now. Since the time that statement was presented in the Saints Herald, the official publication of the church, with the first presidency, it's a body that approves all that goes into it. The church has instituted an abortion clinic. We didn't know that. In the Sanitarium Hospital in Independence. That's why God shut it down.
Yep.
We need that sanitarium again, though. We need to rebuild it. Sanctify it. We need the sanitarium. Because it was expanded by scriptures.
Yeah.
It needs to be cleansed. In Independence, Missouri, the Independent Sanitarium Hospital was owned and operated by the RLDS Church that does operate an abortion clinic where abortion on demand is in practice. But it is all right, they say, quoting the Supreme Court, quote, ... follow... past a period of 3 hours, and I never expect to be happier or more contented in the spirit than I was during that 3 hours. Huh? Something's wrong here because he must have lived the guy who wrote this book, Robert Bob Baker, must have left out a couple pages accidentally in manuscript. So, new tack. Past a period of 3 hours, I never expect to be happier or more contented in the spirit than I was during that 3 hours. ... That this sanitarium shall be a place where our sick who may not be properly treated at their homes be treated by the laying on of hands, by the nursing as provided for under the law, and by such careful treatment as medical knowledge with the province of our all caps of our own membership may give. ... I believe the good Lord stand ready to help all caps our elders and all caps our nurses and all caps our physicians that may have given this matter thought and consideration and who are ready to devote their lives and their labors in an institution of this kind. Pages 207, 208, emphasis added. A revelation was accepted at that conference. The Lord called for the establishment of both the sanitarium, hospital, and a home for children. We have the sand, but where's the home for children? Yeah, it was never built. It was commanded by the Lord, never built. Included in the revelation was a statement. Call to a ministry and laying hands upon the afflicted and sick, where they may be removed from the influences and environments unfavorable to the exercise of proper faith unto the healing of the sick. Page 209, emphasis added. The sanitarium was dedicated to residents on December 15th, 1909. Prior to that service, December 10th, President Joseph Smith stated in a board meeting, it's the third, for Joseph III, I regard the sanitarium as an effort projected to demonstrate the efficacy of the laying on of hands for the healing of the sick and the conduction of medical assistance as needed, freed from unfavorable influences, all caps. It, all caps, is an institution in the church and for the church, all caps. As we administer to those outside the church, so also we may accord to those outside the church advantages of associate benefits coming through faith and medical aid, and it may be possible in such an institution. Very good thing. Page 215, emphasis added. Joseph Smith later indicated, quote, indicated that he had received inspired guidance that ... none should be admitted to the sanitarium who were not members of the church, except in extreme cases of emergency.
Wow.
Page 215. That inspired guidance certainly has not been followed, nor has the other divine direction been heeded. I have been in the sand many, many times and have just about choked from the tobacco smoke. I have been embarrassed by the foul, profane language that I have heard from both patients and staff. Even the chapel has been designed to be okay. A page was put out of place. Quoting the Supreme Court, following the 1973 U.S. Supreme Court decision regarding induced abortion, the hospital's board of directors approved an elective termination of pregnancy policy. ... Letter dated May 16, 1984, from Lorraine Cox, that's CLX, Associate Administrator of the SAN. We are asked to believe that the Supreme Court rulings take precedence over God's commandments. We are told that our beliefs must change as we go into other cultures. Hillary Clinton saying their beliefs gotta change. Remember that? Our beliefs must change as we go into other cultures. And that our values and morals must vary according to the circumstances. And through all this, babies are being killed in the hospital we call our own, with attempts to justify such actions by making statements completely out of harmony with the scriptures. And people are contributing their money either indirectly with contributions to the SAN or directly giving specifically to the SAN abortion clinic. On the front page of the number 9 issue, number 9 issue of Herald Review, there's a copy of an offering envelope. Probably no connection there, though. This is a coincidence. There was a copy of an offering envelope. Typed in were amounts being contributed for various funds. At the bottom was SAN Abortion Clinic, $1,500. When I first saw that, I was shocked. I questioned, is it really an abortion clinic in the SAN? As I began to investigate on my own, I soon learned the answer to my question. It is emphatically yes. Exclamation mark. This is a far cry from that which was stated in the St. Herald by Leonard J. Lay. See Appendix 5 for a beautiful article about the SAN by LJL. The sanitarium is a sector in a worldwide battlefield. It is a part of the greater war that has been going on since the beginning of scientific medicine. The war against disease and death. The enemies of mankind is a war in which there is no surrender, no truce, no furlough, no armistice. And as long as there is the slightest chance, the hospital opposes death. All caps, the hospital opposes death. Saints Herald, March 13, 1950. Page 3, emphasis added. After reading this, it will be good to look at Volume 6 of the History of the Organized Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, beginning at page 205. This has to do with the sanitarium. There are a few quotes that will point out the purpose of the sin and the revelation of the Lord concerning it. In 1906, Joseph Smith III made a statement to the General Conference. In it he stated, "One morning after waking, before I left for the conference, I passed a period of 3 hours, and I never expect to be happier or more contented in the spirit than I was during that 3 hours. That this sanitarium shall be a place where our sick who may not be properly treated at their homes may be treated by the laying on of hands, by the nursing as provided for under the law, and by such careful treatment as medical knowledge within the province of our own membership may give. ... I believe the good Lord stands ready to help all caps our elders and all caps our nurses and all caps our physicians that may have given this matter thought and consideration, and who are ready to devote their lives and their labors in an institution of this kind." Pages 207, 208, emphasis added. A revelation was accepted at the conference. The Lord called for the establishment of both a sanitarium, hospital, and a home for children. We have the sand, but where is the home for children? Included in the revelation is a statement: "Call to administer laying hands upon the afflicted and sick, where they may be removed from the influences," all caps, "influences and environments and unfavorable to the exercise of proper faith unto the healing of the sick." Page 209, emphasis added. The sanitarium was dedicated December 15, 1909. Prior to that service, December 10th, President Joseph Smith stated in a board meeting, "I regard the sanitarium as an effort projected to demonstrate the efficacy of the laying on of hands for the healing of the sick in connection with medical assistance as needed, freed from all caps unfavorable influences. It is an institution in the church and for the church. And as we minister as we minister to those outside the church, so also we may accord to those outside the church advantages to associate benefits coming through faith and medical aid and made possible in such an institution." Page 215, emphasis added. Joseph Smith later, quote, indicated that he had received inspired guidance that, ... none should be admitted to the sanitarium who were not members of the church, except in extreme cases of emergency. Page 215. That inspired guidance certainly has not been followed, nor has the other divine direction been heeded. I have been in the sand many times and been just about choked from the tobacco smoke. I have been embarrassed by the foul profane language that I have heard from both patients and staff. Even the chapel has been designed to be used by many churches, besides the RLDS. Fewer and fewer staff are members of the Organized Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I wonder what would it be like if the Lord's direction had been followed? We have no way of knowing. We do have a way of knowing. Do it! Do it now! And when it's done, see what the results are.
Yes.
God never commanded us not to keep his commandments.
That's right.
Dr. Joseph Luff made a statement to the 1910 General Conference about the sand, and then he said, "Revelation containing instructions as to the object and management of the institution was given through President Joseph Smith to the board of directors, and also to me caps. Under these is purpose to conduct all work therein. Small. Chief among, when I say and, I mean back to small. Chief among these is found the information that the place is not to be made what is commonly understood as a public hospital, but a caps place of church caps a place of church environment for the members of the church. Small. Those outside of the faith only to be received in extreme emergencies and other decision of those in charge. Caps. It is the aim to preserve first and always the spiritual atmosphere of the place, to keep the ordinances of the gospel in active observance. Small. And add medical service as required. Pages 216, 217, emphasis added. The Lord gave specific directions, and the church has strayed from them. Again, we have lost opportunity. No, we still have the opportunity. We still have it. For, don't say we don't. We do. God commanded it, so we must obey. We have lost opportunity for the establishment of another portion of Zion. Instead of doing, Zion must be, with or without you or me. You better believe it, buddy. Establishment of another portion of Zion. Instead of doing as God commanded, the RLDS leadership chose to make the stand a public hospital operated by funds from Babylon, quote unquote. It is just another example of what, quote unquote, New Age, quote unquote, humanist thinking has done to the work of the kingdom. Note, all caps, note, I recognize that many very fine, dedicated people continue to work at the sanitarium hospital. They are committed to the ministry of healing and providing care and comfort. I want to acknowledge them and commend them for the noble efforts. For without them, conditions would be far worse than they are now. Also, to them, I want to give encouragement to look forward to the day that the Lord will bring again His instructions in restoring the original purposes for that institution. Yes, exactly. I would not for anything want to injure the fine work that is being accomplished by those dedicated workers. However, the work of establishing Zion is so important that the saints must see and recognize how and where we are strayed from the commandments of God. That's the end of the stream, guys. God bless you. Have a good day. This is Brent Lee Soul Cobalt the 5th starting off.
Silver Festival. Many believed in him as they saw the miracles he performed. But Jesus did not trust himself to them because he knew them all. There was no need for anyone to tell him about them because he himself knew what was in their hearts. There was
Okay. Let me shut that down. He was born a pauper to a pawn. Life was still. Okay. Where's the other one?
This has been a very good new year so far. Amen. Last edit, January 1st, 2024 at 8:41 p.m. by Admin. Administrator. Posts, 21. January 2nd, 2024 at 4:14 p.m. Post by admin on January 2nd, 2024 at 4:14 p.m. 01/02. Tuesday. We rescheduled today's appointment with Tracy for next Wednesday. Lord willing, my next appointment with Teddy is 1:45 p.m. tomorrow.
I'm back.
I read Genesis chapter
The
3
last
today
one was
so
16
far,
hours, right?
and ate Brussels
16
sprouts.
hours.
I'm still watching Tony camping. He has a wife. He is conservative in his values. He likes to use a variety of tents. He likes to camp in the mountains of New Zealand. I wonder if he's ever traveled to the States. May he find the restoration glorious, O Lord. Amen. Jay has been working off and on at various tasks for many days now. Pastor Pete gave me 5 t-shirts yesterday. I have still not finished updating yesterday's entry in my book. I watched 2 Western episodes today about Death Valley in the 1880s that had happy endings. They were true stories. Last night me, Rick and Joe's sister went shopping and I bought Rick a mouse pad, and I bought myself a stand for my phone and the 6 Hobbit and Lord of the Rings movies, which I used to own before Joy made me throw them away. I'm planning on buying Mondo 1 and Mondo 2 at Walmart and ordering all 9 main Star Wars films on Amazon, Lord willing. Don't know when. It's best not to get them at GameStop, lest they be scratched or the wrong disc be inside. They don't sell the Star Wars movies at Walmarts. I budgeted my budget book and balanced my checkbook today. I spent time setting up Rick's laptop, asking him what he wanted over the phone. He wanted Google, Wikipedia, and art programs. I gave him 3 art programs and 3 scriptures.com and Wikipedia and Google. He also has a YouTube desktop shortcut and my diary sites, and a calculator app is on his taskbar, and he has OpenOffice word processor and Firefox and Edge browsers. He started with Edge browser. I also brightened his screen and gave him a good desktop background and attempted to give him a Jesus desktop background but failed at that. I also gave him an Outlook, hotmail.com, email desktop shortcut, so he can easily check his new email address. I also moved his recycle bin way over to the right of the screen so he can't accidentally delete his other shortcuts, and moved his OpenOffice installation files over to the bottom right because he doesn't need to use those for anything. All his apps are over on the left side of the screen, on the top. I have not used his laptop for anything personal, and will not because I promised him I wouldn't. He has Windows 11. I slept all night last night. Last edit, January 2nd, 2024 at 4:17 p.m. by admin. Admin. Administrator. Posts, 21. January 3rd, 2024 at 2:37 p.m. via mobile. Post by admin on January 3rd, 2024 at 2:37 p.m. 01/03. Wednesday. I ate Taco Bell from DoorDash last night and stayed up all night from a large Dr. Pepper and cans OT Coke. I wrote and posted the first 3 posts of Diary of Ruthie Webley for the Dear Diary Challenge 2024 on the Force.net fanfic forums, and I asked for help with the Kenobi humorous version on Twitter or X, MeWe, and Mirand Luke forever. One of my shelves Gina had anchored to my wall fell on me just as I was leaving to go to today's appointment with Teddy. I set it back up and told Fred about it. At my appointment, Teddy took me to the bank where I got 2 free check registers because my first one is full. Then we came to the library where I showed her the 3 letters and told her the good news that I can keep my money, and she is now reporting my new wages to the Department of Family Services where I used to get food stamps, SNAP, benefits from, and do get at least one of my parts of Medicare from. 2:56 p.m. my wages are reported to the DSS, and Teddy is reading the diary I kept in the new year 2024. She started on Monday, January 1st, 2024 AD/CE and ended yesterday, and I read her today.
Shoot. Apple TV? No. Oh, there. I have no mice for a watch TV. I'm just a little silhouette of a man. Babaloosh, babaloosh. Cause I'm easy come, easy go. I'm not. Little high, little low. Okay, here we go. No, 7. 19's next. What in the world? Oh, Crown Temple. Okay, this is Drill 19. Oh, bathroom. Teach your kids to stop bullying and be more than a bystander. Oh. Windows C, what? No. Oh, shoot. 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 Shut off. Why not turn my laptop off? It turned itself off. The cat did. Oh. Okay. I got an idea. Yeah, I got corrupted. Everything got erased from it. His laptop turned off. That's dead. And everything else is gone. Because it turned off when it was not in there. All those files are gone. I'll back it another way. Oh no, it's not weird. Oh, that whole driver, the whole thing is messed up. Oh, sure, try that one. Forget it. Forget it. Just forget it. Mm. 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 Okay. Oh, okay. Mm. Well, I didn't know it was for obeying Satan. I had no idea that was Satan's voice. Didn't contradict any scriptures. No, I lost everything. All those files are gone. We could watch them anyway. Couldn't get them to. Now I have a corrupted USB port. I tape over it. So it's only one use it. That would be a bad idea. That's a taping over like a socket. What in the world is going on? This stream is almost over. It's supposed to be 6 hours long and it's almost over. Nothing else happening. It's true. Well, that's my life, Lord. Just a breath. My life is meaningless. I need someone. Someone I can love and love me in return. A life partner. A wife. It's not good for men to be alone. I'm just bored out of my skull right now. I think I got a new laptop. Three flash drives. Flash drives are messed up now. Why are they designing so if you pull them out while ejecting them, they get corrupted? Why do they do that? Should be able to pop them in and pop them out, man. Seriously. It's not. It's my fault. It's my fault. I trust those 300 flash drives. Not their fault for designing wrong. My fault. Call her drunken Iris. He won't answer anymore. The whiskey drinking Indiana, on the Marine that went to war. What am I doing? Anyway. Oh, Star Wars 3.0 Stars 5 right now. It's already over. Wish it was over. No, he already made the stream. It's not live. Just it's really gotta be better than this. Oops. Oh, oh no. Do you want to please something in the description? Alright, playlist here.
Well, I can't let it get more than 10 hours long, so.
It's the last jack card now. So I gotta turn my computer off.
10's the limit. So.
Sorry, I gotta go.
That last stream probably won't be able to stay up. Oh well.